Okay, guys, listen. Are we not excited? Do you see the title, right? Good food, pizza. Today was National Pizza Day. We've been trying to kind of keep up with this. It's not always easy to do, but thank goodness we've been, the cookbook's been out for this spring, it will be a couple of years. So we've actually participated in the National Pizza Day over at Twitter now. This will actually be our third year in doing so, which is kind of fun. So you'll notice that the picture that we're showing you is the Puttanesca, and we'll get Quiet the Chef on in just a moment as soon as I can make sure that we are live out on YouTube. So let me do a little bit of work that's required there before we go live. And let's get him situated. And I'm going to try and keep the cough at bay, but if it's not, it's okay. Just live with it for just a moment. And if you'll remember correctly, the way that the Nightbot is set up, you'll probably get more things about good food tonight. But from the Quiet Chef's kitchen studio, may I bring to you from the pages 96 through 99, if you can actually believe it, that we have a cookbook that's 208 pages, 57 recipes. We have no idea how many gorgeous photographs there are in the book. And we are going to be talking about our pages 96 through 99 from the cookbook, and generally just the story of a great pizza. And I'm just going to give the mic over to you, right? Because I don't think it's really necessary.
Well, you can interject.
Well, yeah.
Of course you will.
Of course I will. But I'm just really excited that you're here.
Okay, good.
I mean, that's really neat. Remember, we have to keep your voice up. That's why he's called the Quiet Chef, guys, is that
so we're going to talk about the Puttanesca pizza.
We are. So.
All right. Well, the first thing you need to know is the reason for it being called Puttanesca. Now, if you make a Puttanesca sauce, generally you're talking anchovies, capers, Palmetto olives, and literal translation for Puttanesca sauce is horse sauce, because supposedly these are the things that the ladies of the evening had in the pantry.
Wait a minute.
But it's not really true.
This is one of the first times that we've done in like an official kitchen studio with you.
Right.
And you have to bring up a hooker.
Well, I'm not bringing
That's
up a hooker.
the literal translation.
Well, no, what it really means.
Yeah, let's only deal with what it really means.
What it really means is it's kind of a loose Italian word for stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit better than hooker.
Like I had a bunch of stuff laying around. So I made like a Puttanesca pizza, which is just a pizza with a bunch of stuff on it. Okay, so, well, yeah, because, it doesn't have anchovies, but it doesn't have the olives, etc.
That's right. Talk to me about that, because you won't really notice that straight away, because in the classic American order of pizza builds, you always have a black olive on there, it seems, right? And so in your Puttanesca, you don't have the olives.
Well, see, the whole thing is that the word for is my translation of the word Puttanesca means stuff, not the horse sauce Puttanesca that some people say that's what it means. So mine is just more of an Italian translation of the word stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I'm really glad that you decided to cover that up. Thank you.
First thing about making pizza you have to think about is it's really easy. Sounds like it's hard, you have to make a dough, you got to make a sauce, but it's not. It's easy. The dough, you just put some yeast and some water, you throw it in the mixer, you blend it with a dough hook, it forms a ball. You take it, you put it in a bowl with a little oil in the bowl, and you cover it up, you let it sit for an hour, somewhere warm in the kitchen, hopefully. And then it doubles up in size, and it's done. It's really all there is to it.
So what do you think holds people back from building their own doughs? I think it's the yeast.
If they've never done it before, it seems like, oh, wow, making pizza dough, that's intimidating. But if you do it, you find out there's nothing to it.
And what's the worst that can happen? The worst that could happen is that your yeast, you maybe borrowed yeast, right? And the yeast was bad or old. That could be one
doesn't
thing.
Rise up.
Yeah, if your dough doesn't rise up,
the worst thing that can happen is you order in pizza.
No, the worst thing that can happen is that you could start all over again, because it really doesn't take that long.
Well, I mean, if you waited an hour to see that it hasn't.
That's true. I mean, you should try and make a pizza dough. Let's be real with people. Don't you think that they should just, on a given Sunday, just try and make a pizza dough?
Just make a pizza.
Just make a dough. I think I really think that that's probably the most fair thing, rather than, oh, I'm making homemade pizza tonight, and you've never made a dough before. That it might just be one of those things that it's just a good, and because it's good fun too. Like, I've always really enjoyed watching the dough rise, and of course your experience with proofing, and it always helps to know, oh, this is going to be a good dough. You know how we talk about it? We'll look at the dough and you'll yell out, oh, it's going to be a good dough. I didn't really think it's going to be. So, I think that it might be good instruction for the listener to be encouraged to learn how to make the dough. And we'll put the dough recipe out on our Patreon this week.
Okay.
And get people thinking that, even just try a dough 3 times. And I really think after like 3 times, they should probably have it wired.
Yeah. You're going to find out. You do it once, you're going to say, why haven't I been doing this?
This is so true.
I can eat pizza all the time.
Exactly. Why have I not done this before? I think that's really what the cookbook really helps people with. Once you're reading the recipes and you're like, wait a minute here, I had no idea that would be something that I could actually.
Well, that was the point behind it, to keep it simple and to let you know these recipes are simple, but if you practice them, you're going to become pretty good. You find that you can make yourself a pretty good pizza.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get people making pizza dough. How fun is that? All right.
And then while your pizza's dough is rising, you can make a quick little pizza sauce.
Okay.
And you flavor it how you like it, I mean, I guess you could buy a jarred sauce if you wanted, but I just take the canned tomatoes and put in, oregano is the flavor that you want for sure. I put in roasted garlic, because I like to have roasted garlic around, and I can use it just about everything. And take a handful and put that in with tomatoes, a little bit of olive oil, some red pepper flakes, and just take your or your stick mixer and blend it up.
And what's really cool about the way that you do the gravy or the sauce is that by the addition of, especially the garlic, it builds up a little bit of starchy kind of, the sauce isn't runny.
Right.
And it's a really nice kind of
consistency.
Consistency is really good, because once it goes in the oven, of course, it starts to, steam out. And if it's too moist of a sauce, it can make your dough pretty soggy too. So I love your sauce. I think it's really, really great. And all the things about the sauce, you'll notice too, that the way Quiet, he kind of layers the flavors, and you've already been kind of instructed on how to build up the flavors, like with the roasted garlic, for example, which is just a necessity.
Yeah.
And the oregano, we've done different oreganos, right? I mean, we've dried our own. We've, of course, had fresh oregano before. But you're not afraid of buying the bulk oregano from some of the local markets, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, if you guys go to any, really decent market, doesn't really matter. Go into the dried, sometimes they'll have what's called dried bulk, which is what they use when we'll just use Whole Foods as the example. You can actually go to the Whole Foods guy that makes the pizza, and ask him where the dried herbs are. And a lot of times they'll have their own dried herbs they've broken down and sell to their shopper. So you want to look for like in a little clamshell container of
Be
dried
surprised
herbs.
at difference in prices on, you can buy a big, huge thing of oregano for $1.50, or you can pay $6 for like the smallest little bit amount, and there's really no difference. It's just that so buy in bulk when you can, especially if you're going to be. I mean, oregano is one of those things that you want to have around, and you're going to use it. Use it on potatoes, and just about everything. So,
and then don't be afraid of buying a new one. I noticed that sometimes when we would do the Costco and we would buy the big containers, the plastic containers of herbs, that we would not go through those as quickly as the little clamshell ones. Seems as though when you're buying it fresh, you're buying maybe a little smaller weight size and maybe paying just a little teeny more, but you're actually using fresher ingredients that way too. So think about that. We don't really have like a big shopping section in the cookbook, how to shop for these things. But anyway, let's get back to the pizza.
So pizza, the dough, I think it makes 2 shells. So you're going to punch it down the dough. Once it's risen, you just punch it down with your hand, and then you cut it in half, and you throw it on a board, and then you start in the center, and you use your heels of not your heels. That wouldn't work. That
would be
well.
The wrong kind of pizza.
The heels of your hands, and then you're pushing on the heel of your hand. You're pushing out from the center, so the dough's going out, and then you're turning it at the same time. So
So it's clockwise, guys. So you've got the heel of your hand in the center of the dough, and you're holding the edge of the dough.
No, you don't hold the edge.
Don't you kind of do it like that?
Curl your fingers under.
You curl your fingers under. And
use the heel of your hand, and all you do is you just
rotating.
Pushing and rotating. Yeah. You rotate it, and then you push with your hand.
And you'll notice it right away. After about 10 times, 12 times
you're gonna have
of doing that, then you'll start having the circle, right?
Okay. And then I just use a sheet pan with a silpat. Sometimes I use the pizza stone, depending on my mood. But if you don't have a pizza stone, that's why I'm saying you can just use the sheet pan with the silpat. If you don't have a silpat, you can just use the sheet pan. They do make pizza pans, that are perforated that help.
They'll lift up the heat underneath
a little bit, but you're going to use a hot oven. You're going to turn your oven as hot as it goes, usually 500 degrees.
And you might hear some popping in there too.
These pizzas aren't that big. You're talking maybe a 10 to 12-inch pizza.
Yeah.
And the dough is thin. When you make the dough, you actually have to curl up to kind of squeeze the outside edge so that you got a little bit of crust going.
Why don't you say that again? It looks like we went through some buffering.
Once you have the dough shaped, lift it up on and put it on your sheet pan.
Yeah.
And then form a small crust by squeezing the outer edge.
Right. So the interior isn't a very thick, but the exterior holds in all your sauce.
Yeah, you're just making a little lip.
Like a lip.
And then you put your sauce on. So you just take a ladle, gravy ladle or a regular ladle, and you pour that sauce in the center, and then you use the bottom of the ladle going clockwise again with that sauce till it goes all the way out to the outside.
Yes.
So you've got an equal amount. Nothing, you don't have to have it on there real thick.
The sauce.
The sauce.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that maybe
because they like the sauce, they think they need a lot more.
Right, but you're better off going towards the dipping sauce, I guess, side of life.
Right. So, and then you're going to be adding your toppings.
Yeah. Now, the
Yeah.
Puttanesca, the one that's in the cookbook, what toppings are you showcasing in the photography?
Well, it has the cherry size fresh mozzarella.
That's right. So you guys, and we would really make one of the books that we really want to build out, and over at the Patreon, we'll be talking more about this, is that we would like to become very specific about these things. Like, why is it important to know about buffalo mozzarella? Like, why is it just a divine part of life, and all the different things that you can do with buffalo mozzarella? But there's a lot of cheeses out there now, don't you think? I mean, people have really become pretty savvy, and it's and the buffalo mozzarella, the little balls, the mini balls, they're pretty much available.
Oh, everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know, well, it's fresh. It may not be buffalo mozzarella, but it's still a fresh mozzarella.
Yeah.
And
if you find them in these preformed balls, they're a little bit, they're kind of an interesting size. They're bigger than a Swedish meatball and smaller than an Italian meatball. They're really a beautiful little size, and those are the ones that you use, right? And that's because of the size of the pizza too, right? You're building it for the scale of the pizza too, rather than the bigger slices of mozzarella. Yeah.
So
the white that you see in the pizza there, guys, that is the mozzarella.
Yeah, and then I put roasted garlic on top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And pepperoni.
Mm-hmm. But we do something a little bit different with the pepperoni.
No, pepperoni, just lay it on there. But the crust, it's really nice to get some grated Parmesan and just sprinkle that around that outer lip, that raised crust, and just cover that with a little bit of grated Parm all the way around. That way, when you're eating your pizza,
sure, you get the two cheeses too.
That crust is
right. It's so worthy.
A little extra special, makes it really nice.
See, I thought that you did something different with the pepperoni. You're just buying the deli pepperoni, or you try and buy the.
I don't remember what that was, honestly.
For whatever reason, I remember when you were building this one that you were slicing the pepperoni, but I might be wrong.
Well, like I said,
you always want to buy the best ingredients that you can afford. But I think that once you start to learn how these build up, and then of course the taste quotient and all of that, you'll be really rethinking the quality of the food that you buy, because you're going to be.
I mean, the reason I called it the Puttanesca pizza is because you can just put on whatever you have laying around.
Yeah.
You know, if I had anchovies and Kalamata olives and capers, I could put that on a pizza too.
Right.
And that'd be a more traditional, I guess, Puttanesca. But it can be whatever you have and whatever you like. If you like pineapple and ham, put pineapple and ham. You know?
We actually did a really cute little list of all the different, there was a challenge of some sort out there as to all the different toppings. But, be inspired from, a good Italian restaurant that you enjoy their pizza, and take their list of toppings and try and replicate it at home.
Yeah.
I also think another thing, because you're cooking with high heat and all of that, is that you instantly get this wonderful sense of home, because it immediately smells like a pizza. Like it's not like, are you making a chicken or are you making a pizza? I think it's crazy like that the pizza somehow, I think it's the doughs and the meats and the cheese all together have this kind of.
The oregano is a good.
Is that what it is? The oregano is getting sparked off.
And then when you've made the dough, you have the smell of the yeast, and that's always nice too. So. Okay.
All right. It's okay. Just go ahead and cough. You guys are okay. Let him just cough. There we go. We're good. We're 19 minutes in, and we're going to be saying goodbye to the good folks now. Okay. All of this will get put over to our Patreon.
I'm telling you, just try and make a pizza dough.
Yes.
You're going to be surprised how easy it is. And you make a pizza, you make yourself a cheese pizza.
Yeah.
And you're going to be happy. And then you can go from there.
And we want you to be
happy.
Right.
Enjoy it. Learn how to make something for yourself. Don't feel like you have to call somebody that has, all they have is, you know, they've overprocessed it because they've created a system so much that it doesn't even taste the same. Make it yourself. Go, wow, that wasn't that hard. I can do this for lunch every Saturday, and then make a couple for dinner Saturday night, or have friends over and keep the oven going and have 6 or 7 pizzas coming out of the oven, cutting them up for everybody.
Well, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
I want you to know that this means a lot to people that you don't know. I really do think that. I put that out in the Patreon today, that really the whole essence of this is that for all so many years, Quiet served, we're talking tens of thousands of people. And it would be wonderful if you could be hearing from him and how much enthusiasm and encouragement that he could actually provide the new chef to enter into their life of
Cooking.
And it's such a joy too, isn't it?
Nothing like good food.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to everyone soon. Bye-bye now. This has been Beauty Bubble with the Quiet Chef in the Quiet Chef's Kitchen Studio, talking to you about pizza, in particular the Puttanesca pizza that is on pages 96 through 99 of Good Food, Fall and Winter. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.